Okay, let's try some luminosity mask editing on a landscape photo. Here's an image that was shot here in California, Carrizo Plain. It's panorama. So let's go ahead and build our data layers. Okay, a lot of highlights here. Oops, I need to deselect that. I'm going to do that properly. There you go. And let's build the midtones. I think I want to level, let's see. I want another level here in what is represented well with the shadows. These actually, you know, they're not very much in shadow, but compared to the sky, they are in shadow. So I'm just going to select this and then select itself. And now I have a second layer of shadows. Can compare here. All right, so let's bring in the highlights. Okay, so I'm doing this mainly to get control of the sky. I want to recover some color and detail of this whole sun flare and cloud dance that's happening right here. It's, you know, maybe we can create some more drama around that. It's kind of killing me down here, so I'm gonna actually X to flip background and foreground, brush to go into the brush, and I'm gonna remove some of this curve adjustment that I'm making to the landscape. So I'm dodging the mask out. Okay. And maybe I'll put some back here. That's interesting. Okay. All right. So far, so good. Now let's take a look at shadows. Let's bring in our base layer of shadows. And we're going to get the photo filter going here. I'm going to warm it up. Now's a good time to create a group for our work. Put everything in here. Okay. Let's grab our midtones. Midtones looks like it's going to be mostly this background area and some aspects of the foreground. I think for that, let's work with saturation. I'm thinking mostly throttling it back. It's actually quite detailed. I'm going to throttle it back. Let's see. Actually, I have an idea. I'm going to darken this. I'm going to reduce the lightness here, but then recover it just in this area to complement, you know, what's happening here. So I'm going to set my brush to hide, and let's explore. I really should be using a pen, but I'm at the wrong computer to do that. Okay. So I'm brush revealing this saturation mask. Mainly, you know, it turns out what I'm doing is hand painting a kind of vignetting effect, so that that what's happening here is reflected here in the landscape. That's going to create, you know, some sight lines. So one thing I'm doing is I'm recognizing that the composition of this panorama has its own sight lines, you know, because of the strong horizontal lines and kind of this arcing that happens along this, you you know, the ridge line, the valley, then there's some light lines here. But I'm also using my control of the tones through the luminosity masks to create a whole secondary set of lines that connect the sky to the ground. You can see like what's happening here. It's a whole different look, right? This is the raw image, and now there's like a focus happening now, and it's inspiring me to kind of do things even more. So let's go here and really make that light become a character in this image. Okay. Okay, so opening it up here and maybe closing it down a little too much. Closing it down. Here. Okay. What's we got here? Shadows 2. I picked this up for a reason. Let's see what we can do with that. Let's get a gradient going here. Okay. I'm going to set a gradient. And look what that does. It creates a whole really wonderful dimensionality. Let's set myself to overlay. I kind of like it like this. Okay. So this is pretty good for a quickie. I've taken a couple different layers of tones, doubling highlights, shadows, and midtones, doubling the shadows to get a more specific range. And then I've used that to control the colors, you know, balance out the tonal range between the sky and the land, and introduce some masking, a gradient, and some dodging and burning, so that we can take this image, which came to us like this, fine, and apply this. We've got lighting as more of a story. There's, you know, the start of a sort of a painterly effect, and you know, I like where this is going. I'm going to stop here because if I want to do more, probably involves some techniques other than luminosity masks. Maybe I'll take these chemtrails out, or I don't know, maybe I'll put more in. Anyway, this is you know, the power of luminosity masks and utilizing your image content as data. Thanks a lot.